Hello and welcome to the Annual Meeting of Stockholders of Ready Capital Corporation. Please note that today's meeting is being recorded. It is now my pleasure to turn today's meeting over to Thomas Capacity, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Investment Officer, and Chairman of the Board of Directors of Ready Capital Corporation. Mr. Capacity, the floor is yours.
Good morning. I'm Thomas Capacity, CEO, Chief Investment Officer, and Chairman of the Board of Ready Capital Corporation, and Chairman of today's meeting. Also present today are each of the members of our Board of Directors and a representative from Deloitte who will be available to answer questions after the formal portion of the meeting adjourns. Andrew Alborn, Chief Financial Officer and Secretary of the company, will serve as Secretary of the meeting and will be serving as the Inspector of Election. On behalf of the company, I want to welcome you to our 2026 Annual Meeting of Stockholders, which is now formally called to order. We are very pleased to have each of you in attendance today. We appreciate your attendance, your interest, and most importantly, your support of the company. As a reminder, stockholders attending the virtual meeting can vote their shares online during this meeting until the closing of the polls by logging into the meeting website and following the instructions specified in the proxy statement that we filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission on June 1st, 2026. If you have previously voted by proxy and do not wish to change your vote will be cast as you previously instructed and no further action is required. If you have any questions, you may submit them at any time by selecting the Q&A icon at the top of your screen, and we will address those questions after the formal portion of the meeting concludes. Questions from our shareholders are welcome, and however, we request that all shareholders abide by the meeting rules of conduct, which have been posted on the virtual meeting page. Before we begin the formal portion of our meeting, Andrew, would you bring to the shareholders' attention our customary safe harbor disclosure regarding forward-looking statements, and will you please present the certificate of mailing?
Thank you, Tom. Today's meeting may include forward-looking statements and projections. We ask that you refer to our most recent filings with the SEC for important factors that could cause actual results to differ materially from these projections. We do not undertake to update our forward-looking statements unless required by law. To obtain copies of our latest SEC filings, please visit our website at www.readycapital.com. Mr. Chairman, I present the affidavit of mailing, which states that written notice of this 2026 Annual Meeting of Stockholders of Ready Capital Corporation, form of proxy card, and for those requesting full sets of materials, the related proxy statement and 2025 annual report were mailed on or about June 5th, 2026 to each stockholder of record as of April 21st, 2026. The record date for this annual meeting. In addition, I present the following. First, copies of the written notice of the 2026 Annual Meeting of Stockholders stating the date, time, and place of this annual meeting. And second, copies of the related proxy statement, form of proxy card, and 2025 annual report, which accompanied the written notice of this annual meeting. Only stockholders of record on the record date are entitled to vote at this annual meeting, and each stockholder is entitled to one vote for each share of common stock owned on the record date.
Thank you, Andrew. I would like to begin by calling your attention to the order of business for the meeting. The business to be transacted is to vote on the matters set forth in our proxy statement, specifically, 1, the proposal to elect 7 directors to serve on our board of directors until the annual meeting in 2027, and until their successors have been duly elected and qualified. 2, a proposal to ratify the appointment of Deloitte & Touche as our independent registered public accounting firm for the 2026 fiscal year. And 3, the proposal to approve on advisory basis the compensation of our named executive officers. And 4, the proposal to approve and adopt the amended and restated 2023 plan as more fully described in our proxy statement. A copy of our proxy statement, which was previously made available to each of the stockholders entitled to vote at this meeting, is available on the company's investor relations website and the SEC Commission website at www.sec.gov. The Secretary is directed to incorporate a copy of the certificate of mailing written notice of the 2026 Annual Meeting of Stockholders, including the related proxy statement, form of proxy card, and 2025 annual report as part of the minutes of this annual meeting. The bylaws of the company provide that the presence in person or by proxy of stockholders entitled to cast a majority of all votes entitled to be cast at the meeting constitutes a quorum. The Inspector of Election is in charge of calculating the votes from the proxies and stockholders present via webcast. Andrew, do we have a quorum?
Yes, we have a quorum. Stockholders entitled to cast more than a majority of all the votes entitled to be cast at the meeting are present in person, via webcast, or by proxy.
Thank you, Andrew. I hereby declare that a quorum is present. Accordingly, the meeting is duly constituted, and we may now proceed with the business of the meeting. It is 9:05 a.m. and the polls are now open. The first item of business is to elect 7 directors to serve on the company's board of directors until the 2027 annual meeting and until their successors are duly elected and qualified. On behalf of the board of directors, I confirm that the following persons have been nominated for selection as directors of the company: Thomas Capacci, Jack Ross, Meredith Marshall, Dominique Millet, Gilbert Nathan, Mitchell Reese, and Todd Sinai. The second item of business is to consider and act upon proposal to ratify the appointment of Deloitte & Touche as the company's independent registered public accountants for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2026. The third item of business is to consider and act upon proposal to approve on a non-binding advisory basis the compensation of the company's named executive officers as disclosed in the proxy statement. The text of the advisory resolution to approve company's named executive officers' compensation is set forth in the proxy statement that was sent or made available to stockholders. The fourth item of business is to consider and act upon the proposal to approve and adopt the amended and restated 2023 plan as disclosed in the proxy statement. These 4 proposals have been properly brought before the meeting under the bylaws of the company. No one else can be nominated as a director from the floor, and no other proposal can be made from the floor. That concludes the presentation of the items of business that you have been asked to vote on at today's meeting. Polls are about to close, so if you have not yet voted, please do so. Since all stockholders have had the opportunity to vote, I hereby declare the polls are now closed at 9:07 a.m. on July 17th, 2026. Andrew has provided me the preliminary report from the Inspector of Elections. The preliminary report of the Inspector of Elections indicates that with respect to the election of directors, each nominee has received the affirmative vote of holders of a plurality of all the votes cast in the election of the directors at this meeting. Secondly, with respect to the proposal to ratify the appointment of Deloitte & Touche, it received the affirmative vote of more than a majority of all votes cast on the proposal. Third, with respect to the proposal to approve on a non-binding advisory basis the compensation of company's named executive officers as disclosed in our proxy statement, the proposal received more than a majority of all votes cast on the proposal. Lastly, with respect to the proposal to approve and adopt the amended and restated 2023 plan as disclosed in our proxy statement, the proposal received more than a majority of all votes cast on the proposal. Therefore, according to the preliminary report that was presented to me by the Inspector of Election, each of the director nominees has been elected, the appointment of Deloitte & Touche has been ratified, the compensation of the company's executive officers has been approved on an advisory basis, the amended and restated 2023 plan has been approved. Details regarding the number of shares that voted in favor and against each proposal will be provided in a current report on Form 8-K, which we will file with the SEC no later than Thursday, July 23rd, 2026, within 4 business days of this meeting. That completes our formal business for today, and I hereby adjourn the meeting. As we have not received any questions on behalf of the Board of Directors, I want to thank all of you for attending our annual meeting.
This concludes the meeting. You may now disconnect.